Athena arrives in Lacedaemon to remind Telemachus that it's time to return to Ithaca, while Telemachus is sleeping in Menelaus' mansion.
Telemachus, I have come to warn you. There is a ship planning to attack you the minute you come home. You should return home, but right after you touch the shore of Ithaca, go straight to the swineherd, so he may tell your mother of your return.
Telemachus immediately wakes up and Athena returns to Olympus.
Pisistratos, we have to return home. We cannot travel in darkness. Also, Menelaus must give us our parting gifts.
Telemachus then starts a conversation with Menelaus about his situation.
King Menelaus, I must go home immediately.
Menelaus agrees and will not hold him back from what Telemachus desired.
Very well, I will fetch my parting gifts for you.
King Menelaus then gave the men a two-handed cup, a silver mixing bowl, a handmade robe made from Helen. As the men were parting, Menelaus suddenly stopped them and offered them a golden cup. Telemachus then thanked Menelaus, and immediately an omen from the gods in eagle form went flying with a huge white goose in its claws. Helen then explained what this omen meant.
This omen shows that Odysseus is or is already returning home and is planning vengeance on the suitors of Penelope.
They went on their way back to Ithaca and stayed in the house of Diocles. As Telemachus boards the ship, he makes contact with the prophet Theoclymenos.
I have gone through a rough life back home. Please let me board this ship with you and get away.
Telemachus agrees to let him on, and they board the ship as the sun sets. The scene changes to Odysseus eating dinner with the swineherd Eumaeus.
Men, I wish not to be a burden on you. I like to go into town and visit the house of Odysseus and tell my news to the noble lady.
Eumaeus is appalled by Odysseus' words.
We don't mind you being here. Please stay. Very well. I'd like to hear about your master's parents' history. How did you get here? Laertes is still alive, but he is very depressed of his son going away. I was carried off by pirates. We sailed the seas, but Laertes then brought me here and sold me to the house. You have gone through so much, and I have indeed suffered great troubles.
The men then fell asleep into the night. The scene then changes to Telemachus finally reaching Ithaca.
Men, you must sail to the city. I will make my way to the herdsman. Where shall I go?
Telemachus didn't want to invite Theoclymenos into his house because of the noise and the destruction happening.
Go to Eurymachus, a man who is very respected.
Another omen from Apollo in falcon form appears while holding a dove in its talons. Its feathers fall in a shower between Telemachus and the ship. Telemachus orders Peiros to entertain Theoclymenos until he comes. With that said, they part their separate ways, and Telemachus makes his way towards finding the swineherd. Telemachus finds the swineherd and enters.
Eumaeus, your friend is here.
Eumaeus greets Telemachus, with tears running down his cheeks in a great embrace.
What has happened since I have gone? Who is the stranger and how did he get here? Where did he come from? He is from Crete. I found him and took care of him.
Telemachus is hesitant about this stranger.
I will give him clothes to wear and help him on his way, but I do think it would be a bad idea for him to come to my home, full of angry suitors. Why are suitors in the house of Odysseus? I am the son of Odysseus, but he left. This is why these thousands of enemies live in my home. Eumaeus, go tell my mother that I have returned. I understand. Shall I go the same way to tell Laertes? Tell my mother, not Laertes.
Eumaeus then leaves, then Athena then appears as a tall woman to Odysseus.
Now is the time to speak to your son. Don't hide anything. Return home and plan a way to get rid of these suitors.
Athena strokes him with the golden rod and gave him back his youth and strength. Odysseus then goes back into the house.
You've changed. Surely you are a god. I am no god. I am your father, Odysseus. You are not Odysseus. You are a man who is trying to make my grief stronger. Athena made me this way so I can present myself to you.
Telemachus threw his arms around his father, both tears in her eyes.
How did you come to Ithaca? The Phaeacians brought me here. They were always ready to help a traveler. I've heard so many great things about you, but your strength does not match the many suitors plotting against us.
Telemachus and Odysseus discuss a plan on how to get rid of the men. They decide that Odysseus should walk in while Telemachus ignores him and secretly steals the weapons of the men and hides them. Telemachus is to keep 2 swords for himself and Odysseus.
Make sure no one knows of my return. This is just between you and me.
Meanwhile, Telemachus' ship full of his crew arrives in Ithaca. One of the messengers finds Penelope and tells her of Telemachus' return.
My
created using Powtoon.